went dark. So it's October 1, morning hunt. Weather's not really optimal. It's supposed to rain off and on all day today. Rain off and on all day, but if it's not going to be really raining, it's going to be like that mist that just kind of blows sideways. I'm about to head in the woods. I'll be set up almost an hour before daylight. I'm just hoping it doesn't rain real bad because I don't have rain gear. And obviously, too, I want to be able to film, so it makes filming difficult. So that's where we're at. Let me get set up. I really don't want to get out in the rain. But here we go. I almost beat the rain back. It's pouring. I basically ran the last, I don't know, 100, 150 yards. What the hay lilies? I only have one day to hunt. What are you doing to me, Mother Nature? What are you doing to? Oh my God, there's a lady running. You gotta be kidding. You know what? I don't feel so bad now. Gee, my nittany. She's probably 20 miles away from the house.
Right.
I didn't even see him. I was standing this way, thinking they're coming from that way, and he came in right even with my tree. Damn it. And by the time I turned, he was looking right at me. I probably should have just stayed still and then, oh my God, that's crazy. So just a quick lessons learned from what I should and should not have done yesterday. You know, I'm a beginner. I'm still learning. I've heard these type of tips referenced before, but it just at the moment, whenever there's a buck like 2 yards below you, right next to your tree, I just panicked and kind of freaked out a little bit. So what happened was that I was sitting in the stand like this. The deer I'm expecting to come from behind me because I know that's where the bedding area is and I know the food's out ahead of me. So the reason I had my back facing where they were going to come from is because just to kind of hide any movement or stuff like that, to where I was hoping that maybe I would hear them. The problem was it's already been raining for, I don't know, 4 days. It's actually spitting rain right now as I'm trying to record this, but it'd been raining, so you really can't hear anything coming up. You don't hear leaves crunching or twigs breaking or stuff like that. You don't hear that because it's been raining for so long. So the way I had my stand set up was I had it up here, had my back facing where the deer would be coming from, and I had already stood up, just kind of stretched my legs. I'd already been in the stand for an hour, so I just kind of stood up, and I literally was standing, leaning against the tree like this, facing this way. My bow sits right here. So my back is to essentially what is my left-hand side. There was a trail that comes right along my left-hand side, and where I was at was where two trails kind of converge. So there's a trail in front of me and a trail behind me. And as I'm sitting like this, I'm looking back. Probably can't hear me when I say it. I'm looking back, and then I would look back over my shoulder. The problem is that the angle that the buck came in on, I didn't see him. Probably 10 minutes when I looked back before that. So he kind of snuck up on me. So what happened was by the time I turned and saw him, probably 3 yards behind my tree, closing in right next to where my tree is at. Now, the other thing I do is the straps that I have on my tree stand, all but one, I leave sitting at the base of my tree. So there's probably a 90% chance that he smelled it. The thing was that when I looked over my shoulder, I saw him. I was like, oh my God, there's a buck right below me. I gingerly kind of turned, grab my bow, but see, that means to get a good shot I gotta turn 180 degrees almost to face him on this side, and this is where he's at. So the thing is that, listen, there's no way, if a deer is that close, there's no way you can move in a tree stand without being heard. It's gonna creak a little bit. The problem was that at this point when I leaned back and saw him, I should have just stopped exactly what I was doing and just waited. Because, who knows, it would have taken 5 minutes, not even, probably for him to pass me. Or maybe sniff around and smell the straps or something, look up. But if I'm not moving, he's not going to see me. Or he may, maybe if he doesn't think something's right, he may walk off a little bit, but he's not going to run, most cases. But what I did was that I grabbed my bow and turned. And as I'm turning on my GoPro camera. And when I turn and then look down, he's looking right at me. So there was the other mistake, is that I probably should have just stopped moving then too. Because that could be another moment where, you know, he's just looking up and something seems weird. He might just kind of trot off. But if he turns his head to run that way, I could still draw back and shoot. Grunt, stop him and shoot. Well, what I did is like a dope. When he turns up and looking at me, I'm like, well, I need to get a shot off. And then I draw back while he's looking at me, and that's why he took off running. And then I let back down, and then by the time he stopped to look back, now he wasn't grunting or anything else like that, but by the time he turned back and looked at me, he's already, you know, 40 yards away in trees and everything else. So even if I could have shot, it probably wouldn't have gotten him and would have gotten deflection. So at the end of the day, the thing is that, I mean, one, you can't panic, which I panicked again. The fact of the matter is I just should have stopped and waited. Once I had my back turned, or once I saw him coming up, I should have just leaned back forward and waited, because he would have gone by me, probably 5 to 10 yards, and then I could have slowly turned, grabbed my bow, and probably got a shot at him as a quartering away shot, which probably would have been a tough shot. The fact of the matter is I would have gotten a quality shot had I just waited, been patient and waited. But the fact is that as a newer hunter, I'm still surprised when I see deer in the woods, especially when they're right underneath me. More veteran deer hunter definitely would have waited for the deer to go by, because they would know what to expect. So that's my input. That's my tip. Definitely not many times you get that type of encounter with a buck, especially right underneath your tree, and I blew it. I flat out blew it. I can admit that I blew it, and if I'd had to do it again, I would definitely do it a lot differently. But the thing is, you know, I'm probably going to be near that same woods again in a week or so, so hopefully he'll come back by. Well, that's my input.